Hi, it's Matt Kendall on, I don't know what day it is. It's end of July, something like that. 28th of July, Thursday, 28th of July. I've got Peter today, and Peter did the IEMT training. It was the beginning of this month, actually, so just a few weeks ago. Where are you up in Manchester area, if that's correct?
That's right, yes.
Fabulous. So up in sunny Manchester, I've heard because we've had a heat wave. Apparently, it's got so hot in Manchester that some people actually took the jackets off. Little joke for you. Right, I quite like that. So, Peter, you did the INT training course again. It was about three or so weeks ago. You've just completed your case studies because people always say, once I do the course, how long will it take to qualify? Well, it's taken you 3 weeks, so you got straight on it, did it, submitted it. And I always say to people to do it within 3 months, because if you don't do it within 3 months, you're not going to do it. And if you do it, you're going to forget everything. So it's going to be real sort of jaggedy. You're going to be looking at all your notes, you know what I mean? So if you do it straight away, it's just easier, makes it much easier. So Peter, for the people who are listening, watching, we're not streaming, just a bit about yourself. So what's your sort of experience in sort of therapy training and everything like that before you did IEMT?
Well, for the past 12 years or so, I've worked in specialist schools with teenagers who've been through quite extreme experiences, and as a result of that, the behaviour and emotional difficulties are too extreme for normal school. And quite early on, then it became clear working with those kids that the usual talking therapies struggled, CBT and things like that. So it's constantly on the lookout for different techniques, such as IEMT, which could work very quickly and efficiently without having to go into lots of detail with them. And background in hypnosis and many different modalities. I'm particularly interested in ones which evoke a memory or certain feelings and then chop up the pattern, which IEMT, features very well.
So can I ask you, what's your actual job role then? Is it as like a school therapist, or what's the actual role that not you're playing, but what's the actual role that you're currently doing?
Yeah, school therapist, but I also work with private clients as well.
Okay.
So that's what I'm doing at the moment. Yeah.
Right, cool. So you've got all these different trainings. How was it that you heard about IEMT, and what made you decide to basically come and learn it from me specifically?
I think someone mentioned about Andy Austin's work a while ago, and I found it quite interesting. And I played it. I got the book on it, and I
All right.
think you'd added me as a friend on Facebook. And I saw some of your videos, and I quite like your style. And I think that's how I came across IEMT and then working with yourself.
Fabulous. And so you excuse me. So you read Sonia's book. You'd seen and you'd heard about it. Had you looked into maybe doing EMDR and stuff as well, or because obviously to do the actual proper EMDR, the IA, the International Association, you do need to have like a medical background, really, or a psychological kind of background. Obviously, IEMT is just a weekend course, which is much shorter than however long it's meant to do EMDR. Had you had any kind of experience in sort of any kind of eye movement kind of work, or basically IEMT based work before at all?
Other than seeing Andy Austin work with people, I was aware that EMDR is a lot more involved. There's a lot more of it, and I'm more into the things that can work as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
So I was much more drawn to IEMT than EMDR.
Fabulous. So you saw my content online, which I put a lot out of. So what did you think about the actual training course weekend in terms of the stuff you got beforehand? So all the prep work, the actual sort of delivery, and what it was like to go through the course as a participant, what it's been like since, so then the support and what it's been like since. So basically, how was the course for you?
It was very well organized. Before we started the course, got all the manual that we needed, so you could become familiarized with everything set out, knowing what would occur at what point, what technical information, what we had to get set up on our laptops, etc. And I love the way that you very streamlined and simplified the entire process. That's something I'm doing myself. I love the way that you simplified it. Your delivery is part humor, part stories, just a perfect mix, perfect blend. Lots of you demonstrating things practically, which is very interesting to see. You've obviously worked with many people and you know your stuff. So yeah, couldn't fault it really. It's just enjoyable.
Yeah, it's like, because I've attended so many courses before, and I think the worst thing to do is to start a course and here's a manual, right? And then not some fellow, right? But there's an actual manual, and people will now start reading it, and I want them to be focused on me and what I can teach them, rather than literally read a manual to people. And that's what I've been on so many courses that are just like that. And so and you can't read and listen really at the same time. What you can do is you can follow along of the stuff that you've already sort of prepared. So because obviously we're doing everything online now, we have there's like a certain technical requirement basically. And I make sure, I've got 10 set or 10, 12, 16 sets of technical problems straight away with people. And usually I think it won't run pretty much fine. To make sure, because you're going to be doing actual work with each other as well. So I tried to make it very practical. And again, with the demonstrations, I've been on lots of courses where they kind of talk a good game, but they don't really kind of demonstrate that much. And I like to really kind of show people what to do first. I would say it might not work, because IEMT sometimes just doesn't work. But no, we had some good demos, and I tried to work with I tried to work with everybody in the group, so everybody gets to experience something, because there is quite a lot of actual not physical things, but actual sort of tangible things that we need to do. So I'd like to break everything down into modules, and we all learn the module before we move on to the next module. And then you can learn how things kind of build up. And then as you build them up, and as you get better and better at IEMT, you can start to sort of mix them together as you're getting more and more used to them. It's like learning like a martial art. You first learn a punch, then kick, kick. You do your patterns. You literally do, your sequences and routines. And then as you get better and better, you use them in combination rather than just sort of doing them as drills, as it were. And how did you find, because during the course, I teach you something, I then put you into a room to go do it. Have you attended any online courses or trainings like this, obviously because of the pandemic? And how did you actually find going out and working in the breakout rooms? Because if people don't understand how this works, say that we have, like I think in your case, we had 10 participants, okay? So we have a large Zoom room. There's 10 of you, one of me. I give a presentation, a demonstration. I then put you into a breakout room, which basically just looks like this. It's just basically a private room, which I can't see into unless I go into the room myself. And I will give you a certain amount of time to basically practice going back and forth with the actual technique that we've just done. So how did you find, what was that like going into the breakout rooms? And have you ever done anything like this before at all?
I haven't been on that many online courses, but that was a very useful aspect to it, in particular because I hadn't done that much. Well, I haven't done any eye movement work over video before. So certain things cropped up where I actually had to concentrate to get my finger, and I thought, oh, that'd be easy, but that took a bit of getting used to. So it was invaluable for things like that, and just experiencing it myself and other people as well. I have been on other online courses that don't offer that, and I don't think you get the same quality. You don't get the same experience. So I found it very useful.
And one of the other things as well is that I put you into a peer group, into a WhatsApp group, and obviously there's all the support. How have you found it? I know it's only been sort of 3 weeks, but how have you found the post support since the course?
Yeah, just rapid responses from yourself. You obviously regularly check it with thorough answers. So it feels as though you're there almost at the end of a call just to answer any questions, which is, again, I've not been in any courses with anyone else where they offer that kind of support. And with your Facebook group as well, the amount of content you put out there is just brilliant.
Cool. And that's the thing I always say to people, look, no matter what you pay for this course, because there's different levels, I suppose, half of the money's for the course itself, half the money's for afterwards. Because I'm here to, most of the people who come and train with me is usually via referral, so I want to make sure that not only have you had a great time and understand the course, but you go on and become a good practitioner. because I want you to go and use this. A lot of people, when they do a course, they just want to fill the seat, and then once you've done the course, you don't really hear from them, or it's quite hard to. I've done a course and I've had some questions, and I've not been able to get in contact with people. So yes, I have a Facebook group that I do Facebook Lives in most days. So what happens when somebody sends me a question, I'll tend to answer that as a video, and then I can go to sort of quite in depth. And there's lots of the trainers and IEMT practitioners on the group, so you get their input as well. I'm not saying what I do is verbatim, it's just this is my expression of it, what I would do. Okay, so the last question is, what was it like taking these skills from the course and going to do your case studies? Because I asked you to go and do 2 case studies, and I tried to make it as straightforward as possible. I'll tell you exactly what I'm looking for. I give you a template to actually fill out, and I give you a session structure to actually go and follow. So you went and found 2 people, and you then did 2 sessions with each person. So what was it like taking the skills from the training room to real world? What was it like applying them, and what kind of results were you able to actually generate?
I got extremely good results. And I think because of the way he delivered the training, so streamlined step by step, and the templates that he gave, I find it quite straightforward. Like you said, I would recommend people do it. Don't leave it months before doing it. You're better off doing it when it's still all fresh in your mind. But yeah, I found it quite straightforward, and the results were brilliant. And all the people we're working with now, IEMT is like a central modality that I use because it's so quick. It's like a starting point for me.
And
often,
are you using it with the children as well at all in the schools? Are
yeah,
you allowed to? You are. And how's it been working with children?
a lot of them feel as though it's like magic.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
confused because it is. You're a bit like a wizard. 1 minute something's really bad, the next minute you're waving your finger in front of their eyes and they feel completely different. So they like it because it's quick. They don't have to concentrate for a long time. Some of them don't always feel comfortable saying what the problem is. So
Yeah.
it's too embarrassing or too upsetting or they're worried what the repercussions will be. It allows you to help them in a way that doesn't evoke all of that. Whereas if they're talking to a different kind of counselor or therapist, that would be an issue. So they might not get help for certain things. So yeah.
Yeah. And what I found as well, I don't know if you found this as of yet, is that when people are the multidisciplinary counselors and therapists like yourself, they will use IEMT for what they call the heavy lifting. So when it's a big emotional thing, because if you're working with somebody who's experienced something very negative, if they talk about it, they're going to get emotional. And once somebody's crying or emotional, you can't really do any change work with them. So what they will do is they will use IEMT on these memories and emotions, and afterwards they can actually talk about the thing from a different perspective, like a very matter of fact, well, this is what happened. And I think when we're going through your case studies, you had that one person that was able to see things in a very different way in a certain relationship that they had. And IEMT is outcome free, but people will find their own resolutions and they'll discover an awful lot about themselves, won't they? So how did you find that? What was it like when people are coming up with their own solutions rather than trying to get them to do something?
It's good. And even if they don't spontaneously do it themselves, often it's much easier to draw that out of them and for it to occur easily and effortlessly without the emotions pushing against it. But that has been my experience. Just the unblocking automatically changes the way they think and feel about lots of different things. And I find in particular the imprint aspect of it very interesting, the way they go back to certain things that they had long forgotten.
Yeah.
And doing that can massively improve a current thing.
Oh, absolutely. And for those people who are wondering what we mean by an imprint, it's like the way they feel now in present day, they've learned to feel this way. So what we do is we go back to the first time they can remember feeling this way. Essentially, it's a regression to cause or sensitizing event. If you're a hypnotist, ISE, initial sensitizing event. We just call them imprints in IEMT. And it's amazing what people learn, because people think I can't feel this way. And it can't possibly be this thing that happened in the past, because that's when I was 7. But it is, that's what it went back to. And so, but you don't need to talk about the thing. You just go back, work on it, let it go. And then the present day experience not only changes kinesthetically, but a change of perspective as well and perception. And so you can actually just get better clarity of thought and emotion over the present day. So you can make better decisions rather than your decisions being influenced from things that happened years ago. So let me ask you, going forward, how do you see yourself using IEMT? What are you looking forward to doing, people to work with? So how do you see IEMT being part of your practice, basically both at school and I know you do private work as well. So how do you see you using IEMT in the future?
As a central primary starting point, because it's so quick and effective. And I think the more intense emotions you can alleviate, the easier everything else gets. And it's so quick. Like often in 30 seconds, you can clear something that's been there for a lifetime.
Yeah.
It's just a great starting point to begin. And then you can use whatever methods you've got after that. But even if you don't use any other methods, for a lot of people, they would just feel completely different.
And if people want to come and see you privately, where's the best place to find you? And also, do you have any particular specialisms that you work with at all?
I suppose a website which will revamped in the near future is themindhealer.co.uk. And over the years, we've tended to work with a whole range of things, from people with depression and major stress, PTSD, basically anything you'd rather feel differently about quickly. It's kind of my specialism with IEMT and other methodologies, and enjoy the challenge of working with people for whom the usual range of help hasn't really helped. So I'm quite confident and happy to work with those people as well.
Brilliant. Cool. Well, thank you very much for your time this morning. It's really great that, obviously you got your case studies in so fast, and now you're able to basically, you're now going to go join the association, so I can then certify you. You can then just add it straight, because I know your insurance company, so they'll add it just straight away on. And you can now create your own profile on the association, on the listing, and actually start charging, obviously privately. So it's really good. So thank you very much for joining us today, and good luck using it in the future.
Thank you. Cheers.